Okay, let's dive into this. If you are an EC to 6 generalist teacher, the whole idea of integrating theater into your classroom might feel, well, a little overwhelming. I mean, you're probably picturing elaborate sets, complex lighting cues, and just weeks of incredibly stressful rehearsal. But what if I told you it really doesn't have to involve a hot glue gun and a giant mountain of glitter? Welcome to our explainer, Competency 005 Spotlight, Technical Elements as Meaning Tools. Today, we are going to completely transform how you view props, costumes, and sounds in your everyday classroom. We're going to strip away all that overwhelm and focus on how simple, everyday items can actually unlock massive creative potential and critical thinking in your students. So, let's get started. Here is our blueprint for today's spotlight. Number 1, meaning makers, not decoration. 2, the one-element microroutine. 3, we'll go over a day 1 implementation checklist. And finally, number 4, why this matters. All right, moving into section 1, meaning makers, not decoration, the paradigm shift. It is time to fundamentally redefine what technical elements actually are. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. We need to compare two mindsets. So the old way of thinking centers entirely on decoration, right? It's focusing on complex sets and elaborate design just to make things look pretty. And honestly, it's intimidating. But the new goal is creating meaning makers. In the classroom, a technical element is simply an intentional choice that reveals character, mood, or setting. A simple hat isn't just something a student wears to look cute, it's a tool they use to communicate to the audience that their character is, say, a wealthy banker, a tired farmer, or a brave explorer. Simple elements are incredibly powerful tools for interpretation. Our spotlight today has 4 specific focus areas to make this work for you. First up, we are teaching cause-effect thinking. Meaning, if I put on this scarf, what is the exact effect on the audience? Second, we are sticking strictly to low-prep technical elements. Third, classroom-safe practices. No one is climbing any ladders to hang lights here, I promise. And fourth, making culturally responsive choices that genuinely allow all students to see themselves in the stories they create. If you are a generalist teacher without a theater degree, just breathe easy. This approach is specifically designed for you to guide purposeful production choices quickly and, most importantly, safely. Let's jump into section 2, the one-element micro-routine, building cause and effect. Now we're getting into the how. The absolute foundation of this routine is what we call the rule of 1. The idea is you want to model the communicative effect first and then let your students experiment with just one simple element at a time. It's all about teaching the why behind a choice. So don't throw a giant box of costumes at them. Just give them a single prop, one costume piece, or maybe one specific sound, and ask them to explore how that single thing changes the story. Okay. Here is the exact 10 to 12 minute micro routine you can use. Step 1 is the demo, taking just 1 to 2 minutes. You, the teacher, perform a short line or gesture without the element, and then you repeat it with the element. Step 2 is discuss, also just 1 to 2 minutes. Ask the class, hey, what changed? What did that item tell us? Step 3 is practice. For about 4 to 6 minutes, small groups try the exact same short beat using the element. And as they do this, you're just circulating around the room with a simple 2-question checklist to keep them on track. Finally, step 4 is reflect. This takes just 1 to 2 minutes right at the end of the activity to really solidify the learning. For that reflection step, here is your secret weapon. Ready? The blank made the scene feel blank because blank. This one-sentence exit slip is the absolute perfect low-friction tool for the reflection step of your routine. It forces the student to articulate that exact cause and effect relationship we talked about earlier, like the heavy coat made the scene feel sad because it looked like the character was freezing and alone. Boom, that is interpretive thinking in action. Now, a quick pro tip on the actual materials you use. We want to completely avoid complex sets. They are time-consuming and, frankly, overwhelming. Instead, focus entirely on low-prep and reversible items. We are talking about scarves, hats, ordinary classroom objects, flashlights, or even short pre-recorded sounds on an iPad. The key word here is reversible. Items should be incredibly easy to put on and take off so students can quickly switch them around, share them, and immediately compare different artistic effects without losing any momentum. Moving right along to section 3, day 1 implementation checklist, action-oriented execution. Let's get you ready for tomorrow's lesson. So the crucial point is making sure you can actually do this. Here are your 4 rapid-fire steps to be day 1 ready. First, choose just one technical element to introduce for the lesson. Keep it super simple. Second, stick strictly to the time limits. Model for 1 to 2 minutes, rehearse for 4 to 6 minutes, and collect that 1 to 2 sentence exit reflection. Third, assign a stage manager per group, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And fourth, use mini rubrics for a targeted reteach. Literally, if you check these 4 boxes, your lesson is going to run flawlessly. I actually want to pause on that third step for a moment. What exactly is a stage manager in this context? Well, it's a designated student in each small group who is responsible for rehearsing a 30-second transition protocol before using items in performance. Think about it. If you just hand out props, chaos usually ensues, right? But by assigning this specific role, you foster collaborative responsibility. The stage manager ensures the prop is handled properly and passed safely, which keeps your classroom management incredibly tight while empowering the kids to actually lead. And the final step of the checklist is closing the loop. You are collecting those exit slips and observing the practice, right? Well, use that data. Apply quick, formative feedback using simple mini rubrics. Look, this isn't about giving them a major grade. It's about seeing if they understand the cause and effect. Did they grasp why the flashlight changed the mood? If not, you just use that feedback to plan a really quick, targeted reteach for the next lesson. This feedback loop is ultimately what ensures the learning actually sticks and evolves over time. And that brings us to Section 4. Why this matters, the dual impact. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly aligned these benefits are for everyone involved. For the teacher, treating technical elements as meaning-making tools actively raises interpretive thinking in your classroom. And honestly, best of all, it provides clear, observable evidence for assessment. You can literally hear and see their comprehension in their choices and their exit slips. Meanwhile, for the student, they are experiencing some really deep artistic growth. They learn how their choices literally change audience understanding. They build immense intentionality in their storytelling, realizing that every single detail matters. And through roles like the stage manager, they practice collaborative responsibility. It really is a win-win. Which brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with this provocative thought. What single element will change your student's story tomorrow? Will it be a pair of sunglasses, a bell chime, maybe a simple jacket? You now have the framework to ditch the overwhelm, totally skip the complex sets, and start using technical elements as true meaning tools. You are ready to implement Competency 005 immediately. Thanks so much for diving in with me today.